In April 2026, a 37-year-old teaching assistant named Andrew Brond was clearing out the attic of his childhood home in Dorset, England. He was engaged to be married. The wedding was coming up. Money was tight. Buried under old boxes, he found his childhood collection. Pokémon cards. Cards he had not touched in more than 20 years. He brought a few of them to auction to see if they were worth anything. 3 of those cards sold for $41,000. They paid for the entire wedding. Now, before you run to your parents' attic, you need to understand something. Most Pokémon cards from the 1990s are worth pocket change. A few dollars, maybe 20 or 30 bucks for a holographic card in good condition. The realistic outcome for 99% of childhood collections is a nice dinner, not a new car, but there is a tiny sliver of cards worth thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And the difference between a $10 card and a $10,000 card is almost never obvious to someone who has not learned what to look for. A first edition holographic Charizard from 1999 in perfect condition just sold for $550,000. Only 124 copies have ever received the highest possible grade. The card originally cost about $3 in a booster pack. In January 1999, the Pokémon Trading Card Game arrived in North America. Wizards of the Coast, the same company behind Magic, The Gathering, had licensed the game from Nintendo, and they were nervous. Pokémon was massive in Japan, but in the West, it was unproven. Wizards had no idea whether American kids would buy Japanese monster cards. So they did what any cautious company does. They printed conservatively. The first print run sold out almost instantly. Kids ripped those packs open on playgrounds. They shuffled cards on asphalt. They stuffed them into pockets without sleeves. They were 9 years old. They did not care about preservation. This first print run is what collectors now call First Edition Base Set. 102 cards, 16 holographic rares, every card stamped with a black Edition 1 logo on the left side. But that is not the only thing that makes them different. Look at the right side of the artwork box on a Pokémon card. On most cards, there is a dark drop shadow under the picture frame. On the first print run, there is no shadow. The art appears to float against the border. The colors are slightly lighter. The HP font is thinner. Wizards produced that specific configuration, first edition stamp plus shadowless layout, for a few months. Then they dropped the stamp. For a short window, they continued printing shadowless cards without the Edition 1 logo. That window is the second print run. Shadowless, no stamp. Rarer than unlimited, less rare than true first edition. Then Wizards added the drop shadow to the artwork box, darkened the colors, and thickened the font. That is the unlimited print run. It is the version most people owned. It sat on the shelf at toy stores for years. And it is the version where a holographic Charizard, in top condition, is worth a few hundred to a few $1,000s, not the price of a house. The difference between first edition and unlimited is physically tiny. A stamp the size of a pea, a shadow behind the art, font thickness, 1 shade lighter colors, and in that tiny difference there can be tens of thousands of dollars. Here is what the numbers actually look like. A raw, ungraded, unlimited base. Set Charizard, the one most people owned, sells for roughly $300 to $500 in good condition. A near mint copy might reach $1,000. A professionally graded perfect copy, PSA 10, sells for $15,000 or more. That is the common version. Now the Shadowless version, the second print run. A clean raw copy sells for roughly $600 to $1,500. A PSA 10 Shadowless Charizard has sold for more than $70,000. Then the first edition, the very first printing. A raw copy in plate condition, scratches, edge wear, maybe a crease, can sell for $3,000 to $6,000. A clean ungraded near mint copy can reach $20,000. A PSA 10, of which only 124 exist out of more than 5,000 graded copies, sold for $550,000 in December 2025. The previous record was $420,000, set in March 2022. That is a $3 card from 1999, and the ceiling goes even higher. A Japanese no rarity Charizard, the Japanese equivalent of First Edition, from the earliest print run with no rarity symbol, has sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other holographic First Editions tell the same story at smaller numbers. Blastoise in top condition sells for $4,000 to $8,000. Venusaur, $3,000 to $5,000. Even the non-holographic rare cards from the First Edition run sell for $50 to $150 each. A complete First Edition base set in high grade can exceed $15,000. A sealed First Edition booster box has sold at auction for over $400,000. Then there are the mistakes. In the first print run, the Pikachu card was printed with red cheeks. The official character design has yellow cheeks. Wizards caught the error and corrected it. The red cheeks Pikachu is the scarcer version. A First Edition red cheeks Pikachu in good condition sells for $50 to $150. The corrected version is worth perhaps $30. Then came the Jungle expansion, released in June 1999. The first print run of the Jungle holographic cards was produced without the set symbol. The tiny flower-shaped icon that should appear below the bottom right corner of the artwork. It was simply missing. The error affected all 16 holographic rares in the set. The earliest Jungle Holos pulled from packs were all missing it. Wizards caught the mistake and corrected it for later print runs. But by then, the no-symbol versions were already in stores. A no-symbol Jungle Flareon in near mint condition sells for $500 to $1,500. A complete set of no-symbol Jungle Holos can push past $5,000. These are not exotic rarities stored in a vault. They were pulled from booster packs at toy stores. They were traded on playgrounds. They sat in binders for 25 years. The only difference is a missing symbol, the size of a pencil tip. Andrew Brown collected Pokémon cards as a kid in the late 1990s. Then he grew up. The cards went into the attic. He forgot about them. In 2026, engaged to his fiancée Rachel Mosley, he was clearing out his childhood home in Dorset when he found his old collection. He brought 3 cards to Eubanks Auctions in Surrey. All 3 were Skyridge Charizards, a much later card from the early 2000s. A mint copy, a near mint copy, and a reverse holographic version. The mint Skyridge Charizard alone, a card he had not touched in over 20 years, sold for $21,250, a house record for a single Pokémon card at Eubanks. The near mint copy brought $16,250. The reverse holo, $3,500. The total for all 3 was $41,000. The money paid for the wedding. A teaching assistant in Dorset funded the most important day of his life with pieces of cardboard he had completely forgotten he owned. Here is what makes that story real and not clickbait. Braun did not find a Pikachu Illustrator card, the Japanese promo that sold for $16.49 million in February 2026, the most expensive trading card in history. That card was never sold in stores. Fewer than 40 were ever distributed. It was a contest prize, and the record-setting copy was owned by a celebrity who bought it for millions before selling it for far more. Braun found production cards. Cards from the same packs, shipped in the same boxes, sitting on the same shelves as every other Pokémon card from that era. They were just the right ones, in the right condition, at the right time. Here is the pattern, and by now you have seen it on this channel enough times to recognize it before I say it. A company launches a product with limited confidence. They print conservatively. The product explodes. The first print run becomes scarce. The company prints more, makes small design changes to distinguish later printings, and those changes become the dividing line between the versions worth pocket change and the versions worth a mortgage payment. This is the 1943 copper penny. The mint switched from bronze to steel for 1 year. A few bronze blanks got through. Now one is worth $456,000. It is the vinyl cape Jawa, where Kenner replaced a vinyl cape with a cloth one within months. And now a vinyl cape figure sells for $26,000, while the cloth version is worth $20,000. It is the double telescoping Luke Skywalker, where Kenner abandoned the two-piece lightsaber to save a few cents per unit, and now a sealed one sold for $161,000. The Pokémon equivalent is the First Edition stamp, a black circle half an inch wide that Wizards abandoned after the first print run. The cards are otherwise identical. Same art, same cardstock, same text. But that tiny stamp tells you the card was made during a window of 2 or 3 months in early 1999, before anyone knew Pokémon would become the highest grossing media franchise in history. Value hides in what companies discard without looking. Early production runs. Print runs they thought would be the only run. Design elements they removed to save money or correct errors. Every single one of those discards is a potential fortune. But you have to know what you are looking at. Money is a tool. It is not an identity. But attention? Attention is the difference between tossing a binder of old cards in the trash and checking the stamp on the left side of the artwork. So here is the question. If you climbed into your parents' attic tonight, found that shoebox or binder, and flipped through the cards, would you know which ones had the First Edition stamp? Would you check for the drop shadow? Would you recognize the difference between Red Cheeks and Yellow Cheeks Pikachu? The missing jungle symbol? The cards that cost $3 in 1999 and are now worth more than a car? Subscribe to Money Fails. Real stories, real mistakes, real lessons. Because a teaching assistant in England paid for his wedding with Pokémon cards he forgot he owned, and the difference between a $10 Charizard and a $550,000 Charizard is a stamp the size of a pea. See you in the next one.